Welcome, everyone. We'll get started here in about 10 minutes. Hi, Missy. Good to see you. Hi, Janet.
Good to see you, Betsy.
Thank you. Okay, we have 27 people so far. And we'll start right at 3:30. I see people are well trained to put their full name in the chat already. Good for you. Cindy, if you would put your full name, or maybe you did right below it. Maybe that's it. Thank you, everyone, for putting your full names. That's how we keep attendance. And another way to keep attendance is to send in your CE form at the end of the conference to the National Association of Social Workers in West Virginia. And the CE form is available on the website, NASWWV. Admitting a whole group of people now. Welcome, everyone. Please put your name in the chat box. Missy, I love that color green behind you. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My husband painted it. If I had done it, you wouldn't have said that.
It's not the color you would have chosen.
Oh no, I love it. It just would have looked like a modern art painting if I'd have done
it. Special kind of brush strokes and things.
And someone with patience.
Welcome, Sheila Moran. Our speaker is on.
Hello. Thank you for having
me. Can't hear you, Sheila.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's very soft. I'll turn mine up. Maybe it's me. Do you want to have people take questions in the chat and then do them at the end? Is that how you like to do it?
That would be fantastic. Yes. Okay. Yes. That will definitely end with enough time to take chats.
Okay. Anything else you particularly want? Are you going to do any chat rooms or polls or anything?
I don't think I am. I wish I'd thought of it in advance. I would have maybe done a poll, but that's okay.
Okay. I heard very good things about your workshop last night.
Thank you. I was so shocked that there were over 160 people on it. I have to take back what I said about Sam. I was like, I can't believe we're in this. Nobody's going to show up. Well, darn it. Just kidding, Sam. But yeah, it was totally full.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
And Sheila, you're the only presenter who's doing 2 workshops.
Oh, thank you. Good.
So we really appreciate what you're contributing to the conference. Trying to admit people. $56 people. $60.
I'm gonna go run and check on some other things. We think one of the other sessions might get pretty large.
Okay.
I think Danielle is joining. She'd probably be willing to help you.
Would you say that again, Sam?
Danielle Woods is joining. She'd probably be willing to help you if
Yes.
You rang.
So Danny, I'm the only host here. And if there's anything critical, but you probably would just like to rest for a little bit. You've done so much.
Oh, you're fine. If you need me to help, just let me know. I'm already here, so
Thank you.
you're
Thank
welcome.
It's a 1-hour session, and I think from what Sheila says, it'll be a very straightforward session.
I like straightforward. I can handle that.
So,
Oh, Kennedy, I just saw your dog and it looks just like mine. Oh my gosh. Part Chihuahua. That's the mean half of him. But
Mine is fully Chihuahua and he's fully mean.
I love him so much, but he does look just like mine. If I share my screen, you'll probably see him come up. He's the screensaver instead of my kids.
That's cute.
70 people in the group right now, and we'll be starting in about 6 minutes. Everybody, please put your name in the chat box if you haven't already. Okay. Okay, up to 81 people.
And now 86.
Wow, goes fast. $90, looks like we're going to break 100. Danny, are you admitting? Looks like.
I am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Coffee in one hand, mouse in the other. We're good.
Now I'm dealing with some pretty interesting fatigue. I imagine everyone else is too.
I slept pretty well last night, to say the least.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. 93.
94. And folks, as you join us, make sure you mute your mics. And if you want to show your face, we'll be glad to see you. But if you prefer not to, that's okay too. But please, if anything, mute your mics.
I'm going to show my face with the pretty beach background that's not real.
Hey, it can be nice to pretend we're there at the beach. So
I love it. That is absolutely my happy place. And oh, here. And my little one wants to say hi too.
Hi.
well, hi.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. And now we're going back on hiding.
Okay. Well, thanks for stopping by.
Hi, Jess.
Hey, Jen, how's it going? I always say hi. Hi.
Hi.
We're pretending to be at the beach.
That's awesome.
We're
Hi,
not.
Aaliyah.
She's here to learn.
Oh, good.
You never start too early.
That's right.
That might be my plan for the future. Get a nice little sandbox and maybe a heat lamp so I can pretend I'm at the beach while I'm working. Stick my feet in there.
Okay, everyone, we're going to get started in about 2 minutes. If you haven't put your name in, please put your name in the chat. If you're joining by phone, please put your name and phone number in the chat. It's one of the ways we keep attendance. Thank you, everyone, for being here at the end of the day.
Mhm.
This session will be about 1 hour from 3:30 to 4:30. Does anybody have any pressing questions before we start? The afternoon sessions, the early evening sessions will start at 5:30. And as you probably already know, you go to the channel that is the number of the workshop that you're wanting to attend. So there are 3 workshops, I believe, this evening. My. Welcome, everyone. New people coming in. Right. Danny, if you'll keep admitting people while I introduce. So glad everybody's here at 3:30 on a Friday afternoon. Let's see, this is May 14th, right? And I'm Betsy Kent. I'm on the planning committee. And one of the things I did on the planning committee was to say, this workshop is really important. A lot of people do not know about this option that Sheila Moran is going to be speaking about. Sheila is the Director of Communications and Marketing for First Choice Services here in Charleston, West Virginia, but it's a service for the whole state of West Virginia. Some of you may have wondered what happened to the federal money that came to West Virginia for helping people with COVID. One of the places that it went was toward this. And so this is a resource that I suspect is being underused. I'll be interested to hear about it. And I'm so glad that we're going to have this opportunity to hear more about it and to learn about all the choices that First Choice has for us to help our clients, to help ourselves. So I'm going to turn it over now to Sheila Moran, unless there's anything urgent or question before we start. Again, this will be 1 hour from 3:30 to 4:30, and the evening workshops will start at 5:30. So there'll be an hour break between those two. Okay, Sheila, are you ready?
I am ready. Thank you, Betsy. Thank you. I am so excited to talk to so many of you. This has kind of worked out in a weird way, because I have to say, when we try to do, sessions at the regular in-person conference anytime we can, but I have presented to awfully small groups before, never this big. So maybe one weird kind of advantage of meeting like this, although I wish we were together. If we were in person, it would be a lot more fun. I would have like candy and treats I would throw out to you for right answers to all the questions I'm going to ask. I would bring lots of trinkets to share with you. I don't know how many of you were in my session yesterday. Poor Danielle, I think she probably has heard all this before. I spoke yesterday for 2 hours specifically on problem gambling treatment. And so I'm going to only talk a little bit of my session on that because that is one of our helplines, but I'm going to go into more detail on our other helplines. So again, thank you for being here. Can I share I assume I can share my screen here? Let's see, yep, I sure can.
Yes, you
All right, great. Oh, you see my little chihuahua there? Here he is. He looks just like yours, Kennedy. But he is a little bit mean. All right. Well, my name is Sheila Moran. I am Director of Marketing and Communication for First Choice Services. I am a fellow social worker. I have a master's degree in social work from a long time ago. And I'm an internationally certified gambling counselor. But strangely enough, I don't really use those credentials as much as you'd think in my job. I am the media person. So I tend to do more some presentations and a lot of media buys and social media stuff like that. So some other actual people are answering the phone who are probably better at doing that than I was anyway. So First Choice Services, I wish we were in person because I would ask you all, who's heard of First Choice Services? Some of you would lie and say you had. Just kidding. But most people have not heard of the company First Choice Services, but people have usually heard of all the different programs we have. So I hope by the end of this, you'll be really familiar with all of our different programs and associated. When you see First Choice, you'll know what it is. We all know how hard it can be to navigate resources. I was a social worker myself for years. I worked in a psych unit, and when I would do discharge, it was difficult. That was way back then. We had like papers to look at to figure out where to send people, but especially if they were dealing with addiction, it was difficult. It was hard to always know which resources were which, and you don't often have to call to sort of verify it. And I think what a lot of our resources have done is put it all in one place. And in addition to making it easier for clients, for people out there in West Virginia who need the help, I think these services make it a lot easier for social workers who often need to figure out places to find help for their clients. So First Choice began in 1999. The way it actually started, all the comprehensive mental health centers in the state have their own catchment area where they serve clients. And what they wanted to do was come together to have one organization that could help with statewide initiatives. So that's what they did. And that's what our board of directors is made up of, a lot of the CEOs of the comprehensive mental health centers in West Virginia. So we began in 1999, and we were tiny. I've been here for a long time, but I wasn't there in 1999. There were just 2 people, I think, in the basement of Highland Hospital sharing one phone. So pretty little. Eventually, after a year or so, they made it up to maybe getting 500 calls per year. 1-800-GAMBLER was the only program, so pretty small. And in the last 5-6 years, we have really just exploded in growth, which is a good thing because we know that people need help, and we're happy to provide that. So we now have 16 programs and take at least 50,000 calls per year here in our Charleston office. About half our programs are out-of-state programs, so I won't talk about those hotlines because they're probably not anything you have to know about, but if you're curious, you can visit our website, firstchoiceservices.org, and see all of those. And by the way, of those staff, we have about 60 staff now. About half of them are in long-term recovery themselves, which is nice. All right, so this is our first program. This was our very first one we got. It's the first one I talked to. 10 of my 40 slides are dedicated to this one, and it's one I really have to kind of shut myself up because I love this program. I've worked with it since the very beginning, and I think gambling addiction in West Virginia is the biggest problem no one is talking about, and so I will have to stop myself after a while and say, all right, I'm going to move on to all these other programs. And I do apologize for any of you who sat through this yesterday and already have heard all of this stuff. Probably nothing shockingly new from me today from yesterday. So gambling in West Virginia. If we were in person, I would quiz you all and say, well, how many casinos do we have in West Virginia? And nobody ever gets it right. They usually say 3. Had one guy recently, I was doing a presentation at a short-term drug addiction program, and I had one guy get it right. He said 5. I'm like, how did you know that? Did you see my presentation? He said, I visited every one of them, ma'am, right before I came in here. There's a lot of comorbidity between substance use and gambling. So 5 casinos, and for the longest time, that was what most of our calls were, people playing slot machines at the casinos. You could almost look at our calls and overlay it with a map of the casinos and see where they were coming from. And then came video lottery terminal parlors, which quickly overtook the casinos for #1 source of calls. We have 1,200 of those. Those are places you may be familiar with, and they have names like Mimi's or Paula's or Patty's, and they have between 5 and 10 machines. Some of them are just, aluminum buildings put up. Some of them are in rooms in restaurants. But they've been around for quite a while. Probably accounted for the longest time for maybe 90% of our calls were people who were going to these neighborhood parlors to gamble. So for instance, here in Kanawha County, we probably have close to 100, I would guess. I know at one point I looked in Mon County and it was 100. Most every county has them. Some of the really less populated counties don't have as many, but there are over 1,200 statewide. Of course, lots of other types of gambling. Bingo. People always laugh at this, but that is real gambling. One of the first callers I ever talked to was a woman who had embezzled $250,000 from the law firm where she worked to play bingo, and she ended up going to Alderson for 8 months. She later became one of our spokespeople. So certainly if any of you have ever been in a bingo hall, you may not know this, but you can pretty much just, there are people who go there to play for fun, and there are people who literally cash their check and they walk out without it. Places to buy Powerball, over 1,500 lottery tickets. We don't get a whole lot of calls on lottery tickets. Horse and dog racing. We're one of the last states to have dog racing. I think there's only 5. We don't get many calls about that. And then kind of one of the newer types of gambling, mobile betting. I'm sure some of you have seen the billboards for and television commercials for mobile betting, which includes sports betting and all sorts of iGaming, things like betting on roulette and craps and slots online. So over the last year, that has actually overtaken the video poker parlors as our #1 source of calls. And that makes sense, right? It's very convenient for folks. So that's what a lot of people are doing now. A lot of people are calling us, getting into trouble with that. I didn't mention, this is really new. I don't even have it in the presentation. Things like Robinhood or, the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, all that stuff, all those NFT things you've maybe heard in the news, that gets really fuzzy. Is it gambling or not? And there's a lot of controversy on that. I saw where Dave Ramsey just came out and said, yes, it's gambling. I will tell you, we have gotten calls about that, not just on our gambling line, but on some of our mental health lines. So it certainly can be risky behavior. And there are definitely people who are suffering consequences of doing that type of risky behavior. So maybe it's gambling. Some of it I think is. I can tell you, we downloaded one of the apps, the Robinhood, here in our office after we started getting calls just to see what it was like. And we were just getting constant push notifications to spend our money. So I could see how someone could be affected by that for sure. Symptoms of problem gambling. Again, since I'm talking about all of our helplines, I will not go in extreme details. I will tell you that when people develop a gambling problem, they obviously don't call us first. They try lots of other things to fix the problem. And by the time they call us, they have tried other things. When people call us, they're often desperate. Usually, they're at odds with their family. Sometimes it's their family telling them to call. A lot of times they've embezzled or stolen, written bad checks. Maybe they've lost their job, filed bankruptcy, thousands and thousands of dollars in debt. Can't stop thinking about gambling, just really in bad shape. And so, I think it's just a much more serious addiction than most people realize. It has a high correlation. I think it's of all addictions, I think it's one of the highest rates of suicide, certainly high correlation with anxiety, depression, substance use. Something I think that many people still don't quite realize. We have booths up. We do a lot of presentations and exhibits. And when people go by our booth and they see all of our helplines, they still kind of look at the 1-800-GAMBLER and laugh sometimes, or say, oh, I know somebody who could use that, or I'm going to, I bet you don't have a problem, things like that. But, I say nobody ever walks past our, Help for WV booth and says, oh, heroin, that's funny. I bet nobody has a problem with that. So, right. It's similar. It's an addiction. These are all real addictions, and people are definitely suffering from them. About 1 in 50 West Virginians have a gambling problem, according to a study, which I will say was a 1999 study. So think about that. All those different types of gambling that I just told you about, most of those were not around in 1999 or legally available. So I would guess it is much higher than 1 in 50. So that's the bad news, how bad gambling addiction can be. But here's the good news. Here's the help that we have for this. We are fortunate to have a wonderful program that is really well funded, and we are funded by the lottery. You know, a lot of people kind of laugh and say, wait a minute, the lottery, isn't that ironic? But that's how it works in most states. It's typically casinos or lotteries. Usually when gambling is expanded, a portion of the proceeds go to treating gambling addiction. And I can tell you, it would probably be much easier if this is the way it worked for all addictions, because we are fortunate to have this bit of money to help people. And so we always make it clear, you know, we're not anti-gambling. A lot of people think we are. A lot of people call us for quotes when they're doing, you know, a story on sort of the pro-gambling, anti-gambling. We recognize that most people are able to gamble responsibly, just like most people are able to drink alcohol responsibly. But there is a, you know, fairly significant amount of people who run into problems with this, and you've got to have help for them. So what do we have? We have this helpline that's been around for 20 years, and we take, I don't know, between 500 and 1,000 calls or so per year on this line. We have free help. Everything we do, that really this applies to all of our lines, not that everywhere we refer is free, but all of the help on the helpline is free. And the gambling program is one that actually can be free across the board. So I'll explain that. When people call us 24/7 or chat with us, they get a crisis counselor, helpline specialist to help talk them through the immediate crisis, what's going on, to do kind of initial therapeutic intervention. As I said, some of these folks are suicidal, so we do what we need to on that end. And then we refer them for treatment. We have about 50 counselors right now in our network. So these are not employees. These are contracted clinicians. Most of them are master's level social work, counseling, psych, and they have license, and they either work at an agency or have their own private practice. And we pay them to see our folks. We pay them for the initial consultation, which is free to everyone. And then after that, if the gambler wants to go back for further treatment, we can pay for up to 20 sessions if they don't have insurance, or if there's some issue like they have a high deductible or copay, or their insurance won't pay for some reason. We can also pay for up to 10 sessions for the loved ones of gamblers, which I know some people don't understand, but believe me, it's a family disorder. We get probably about 30% of our calls from the loved ones of gamblers who are, just at wit's end. I mean, imagine you're ready to retire and you open that account you've been putting money in for 30 years and it's empty, and your spouse has emptied it to gamble. You wouldn't be very happy. You might actually call us for some help. So we offer them that. We have all kinds of other help. There are Gamblers Anonymous meetings around the state that we keep tabs on. We're able to let them know where the most current meetings are. There are lots of telehealth options for them with our counselors. There are support groups that are online. There are apps they can use. We have a fantastic event we do twice a year called the Weekend Retreatment, which is sort of our version of a mini inpatient event. It's about 2.5 days, intense fellowship and treatment, and it's completely free as well. We're getting ready to have one, socially distance as much as we can here in a month or so. So we're very excited about that. We do a little bit of treatment management, case management. We do short-term, long-term follow-ups. I just can't say enough about all the wonderful things that this program does for people when they call us. So I tell everyone, please, if you have someone that you've talked to and you think they have a gambling addiction, and you can go to our website, 1-800-GAMBLER.net, and we have screens on there. There are online screens right on the homepage. Then refer them to us. Even if you end up treating them yourself at any point, if they're in our system, we can let them know about everything else that they are eligible for. The other thing I'll just say, if any of you are interested in becoming one of our network counselors, and again, this is more of a side deal where they're not our employees. We are having a training in a month. You can go to our website, 1-800-GAMBLER.net, and at the bottom, there's a tab that says Become Part of Our Network, and it has a link to an application to become part of our network. And it includes lots of free CEUs, reimbursed travel expenses, and all kinds of opportunities for fantastic training. Okay. Oh, no, I'm not done. I thought I was done with problem gamblers. I keep talking about it. Okay. I think I just have maybe 1 or 2 more slides. I just will mention youth gambling. Youth gambling at 2 to 4 times more likely to become addicted to gambling than adults, which I know that sounds odd to folks, but I will tell you, not only is that a evidence-based national statistic, but we have done surveys here in West Virginia, and we have found some significant issues with middle and high school kids. It's not just gambling, it's gaming. The two of those things are converging in a way that I think is going to create really a tsunami of issues in a few years. It's becoming very difficult to tell the games that young people play from gambling that is available. And many of the type of gambling that youth are playing have gambling features such as loot boxes, social casinos. It's the same intermittent risk reward type of system that is used in gambling. So this in itself is becoming a big deal. We have a program where we give grants to about 20 different organizations, small grants, $3,000 to $5,000, and we have them work with kids with an evidence-based curriculum on gambling addiction. Most of these groups are people who are already in the schools. A lot of them are FRNs or SAD chapters or prevention groups, and we say, you know, you're already in there talking to them about drugs, alcohol, sex, etc. Add gambling to it, and we'll pay you extra. So if you happen to belong to a group and you're interested in that, shoot me a note, because we are going to have the RFP for that released soon, so we can have another group of people helping us. I've spent too much time. Look at that. I'll have to go past this because I could spend all day long talking about gambling. There's the social casinos that I was talking about. Those are the things like the Slotomania casino, and I know that looks like gambling, but it's technically not something you can win money on, but it is something that you can continue to pay to play, if that makes sense. And about a quarter of people who play this type of gambling go on to real gambling. So that becomes a real issue for people. I mentioned loot boxes. I don't know how many of you know what that is. When I do this, most of the really young people are super aware and know more than me about it. And the folks who are like my age or so are like, what's a loot box? It's something that's in games where you don't just pay for a new level or a new skin or a new accessory. You actually pay for a chance to win it. So like $10 to get a mystery box that may or may not have the thing you want. And then you probably pay again if you didn't get the thing you want. And that's what makes it gambling. It's a little bit controversial. It's outlawed in most countries. It is still legal here in the United States. Okay, now I'm really done about gambling, so I can get on to talk about these other programs. Help for WV. I'm guessing most of you have heard of this program. This has been around for 5, almost 6 years now. Very busy helpline. This line takes at least 12,000 calls per year. This is for addiction and mental health. Obviously, I don't need to tell you all, West Virginia, very high overdose rate. I could go on and on with all of these statistics on mental health. The CDC recently ranked us as the least mentally healthy state. So we have mental health issues as well as drug addiction issues here. And the reason this program was formed was because there were some town hall meetings and people would say, maybe there is treatment, but I don't know where to get to it. I don't know which type I need. I don't know how to get into it. And that makes sense to me. As a social worker, I had difficulty navigating this for clients. So I can only imagine someone or their family member dealing with this. So that's how Help for WV was born. And I think it's a brilliant program. Not a whole lot of states have this. Most people have just a database. And we do have a database. We have about 1,000 resources on our database, and it's at helpforwv.com. And that is free for anyone to access, to look at all the resources. But I always tell people, you can look at it to see what's there, but call us, because our folks really are experts. A lot of people have questions. Well, when can I get in? How much is it going to cost? Can I smoke there? Well, where do I go after this? There's a lot of questions that you can't get answered from a database. So our folks know the answers to those. So give them a call for sure. I will say when this program started maybe 5 years ago, one of the big issues was kind of a lack of beds, lack of treatment availability. You heard that a lot. I don't have the statistic on how much it has increased, but I can tell you I do our social media for Help for WV, and we are often, anytime there's a new facility open, I'll often get a note from someone that says, hey, would you promote this on your page? And I think I've done it 3 times this week. Nearly every week, there is something new, some kind of a new service. So I know that it's increased tremendously in the last few years. Our folks are usually able to get people into treatment within 24 hours, and that is impressive. Detox is one of the easier ones. Very rare that it takes them more than a day or so to get someone in if they call us and they're ready to go to detox. And of course, we have other things. I mean, we try hard not to just be the detox place, although that is probably the thing that most people call us asking for. We have information on short-term, long-term medication-assisted treatment, outpatient counseling, support groups, many online resources. There's an app, the recovery app, the Connections app, that is on our front page of our website that we let everyone know about, that connects them with peers and counselors around the state. So we make sure they know about that, and we give them as many options as possible to make sure that they're successful and try to make sure that they don't fall through the cracks. And we also do follow up with folks to make sure that they got what they need. And that's for, I talk a lot about addiction. I feel like most of our calls are about addiction. We certainly do handle mental health issues as well. And we refer to the community mental health centers, as well as to private counselors, to IOP, to residential facilities, whatever someone needs. That's our job. We're going to try to find it for them. So the other part of the Help for WV program, which is a little bit new, is the Children's Crisis and Referral Line. And this is a line that is funded through the Bureau for Behavioral Health with a grant from SAMHSA. This is a program to help kids can call it, but really for adults, people who are caring for kids. Might be your grandchild, your foster child, your biological child, and you need help, whether it's a toddler that you can't get a handle on their behavior, or a teenager with behavior you're concerned about, whether it be addiction or maybe the beginnings of mental illness, or anxiety, depression. We have resources for that. Many years ago, it's a long time, I was a CPS worker, and I can remember people calling and saying, like, I'm so frustrated with my kid, like, come get him, or or calling the police, come get him out of my house. So what we want to be are the people that's sort of an in-between, so that doesn't happen, because as you all know, that doesn't often have a great outcome for kids. So our goal is to keep kids in the home, and our goal is to provide services for kids in the home. Two things can happen when people call, or many things, but the main two things. First of all, they might just need someone to talk to. Parents call and they're very frustrated. So our helpline specialists talk them through the situation, do some de-escalation, and look at some options. And the next thing is we're going to refer them someplace in their community that can start helping them right away. One of our most frequent referral sources are the Children's Mobile Response Crisis teams around the state. So we often refer to them. And then, of course, there's follow-up to make sure that folks got the help that they need. And this line, it is the same phone number, and it is call, chat, and text, and also 24 hours. Most of our lines are 24 hours. I'll try to stop and note it if it is not a 24-hour line. This, of course, is definitely a 24-hour line, the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which many of you know is changing over to 988 as a number in the next year, which I think will probably serve to increase the calls. This is a line where I would say we probably get, we don't get a lot of really young people on our lines, but I would say this would be the one most frequently used by teenagers and young people. I did a presentation in a classroom last week, and I was asking the kids what they knew about our services, and none of them seemed to know about any of them, but they did know about this one. So that is something I think that is promoted kind of more widely. So crisis counseling, as well as warm line transfers, mental health services. So, we're there anytime anyone needs to talk. We, are one of about 180 centers in the country that answers that line. So if by chance we would not answer it, it's going to go to someone else. That's not just going to, it's not going to be a busy signal or go to a voicemail. Although I'll say, I think last time I looked, we had about a 99% answer rate here in this office, and really proud of that. We feel like it's important. A lot of people like to talk to someone who's familiar with their state, their culture, and knows all the resources. So we try really hard to make sure that we get all of those. And the reason for the line, obviously, and I'm sure you all are aware of this, suicide is a big issue. About one in every 22 hours, someone in this state dies by suicide. And I've heard many people tell me they think this is probably an undercount. There are cases of overdoses or cases of, people dying of other things getting coded differently on death certificates. So yeah, I've heard many people say they think that it's actually higher than this. The West Virginia Navigator Health Insurance Helpline. This is very timely to be talking about this. Really proud of this line. We've had it for about 5 years. We actually do answer this line for, I think, 4 different states, but West Virginia, that's our baby. We're right here. We provide free consultations for health insurance marketplace, AKA what some people call Obamacare. People who cannot get insurance through their spouse, through their job, through Medicaid, through Medicare, people who fall through those cracks, we can help them. This is healthcare.gov insurance. And the difference is really just a human connection. Anyone can go on healthcare.gov and sign up for this. But, it's a big purchase. A lot of people have many questions about it. And if you want to know, well, what's it cover? Which plan should I get? Which is best for me? How can I most save money? I always say, why not talk to a human for free? So that's what we do. This is not a 24-hour line, but we do have people here, extended business hours, and chat is available as well. And I have a friend who has this type of insurance, and I told her, if you have any questions, don't hesitate, call this number, because they are really experts. They have so much training. They're not health insurance agents, but I think they probably could be with as much training as they get on this. And there have been a lot of changes in this program lately. I mean, already the stat was like 87% of people qualify for a subsidy. So what that means is you're going to pay an amount, but you get back in the subsidy. And so that was already established. But with the new administration, there have been a lot of changes. First change was that open enrollment was extended. It used to be only about 6 weeks of the year that you could sign up for healthinsurance.gov, and that's been changed now, and you can sign up all the way until August 15th. So that's really good. And we have new rates, new provisions. 4 out of 5 people here in West Virginia get a plan for less than $10 a month, which is great. You can also sign up, I should say, during a special enrollment period. So for instance, if it's outside of the August 15th window, if something happens in your life, like a birth, death, loss of loved one, I'm trying to think, like a big one is loss of job, then you will be eligible through the special enrollment period to sign up. Here are just a few of the rates. The rates have really gone down significantly. You can look at that. Those are real rates that we calculated for people who call our helpline. Now, here's the trick. If you signed up even like in November or December, you didn't get these rates. You got the rates on the left, right? The 2020. So in order to get those 2021 rates, you got to either go through healthcare.gov or call us back so you can reapply so you can get the new rates. Okay, that's it on Navigator. I need to have like a sign, some sort of transition to go to the next one. Our peer services group, we are very proud of them. As I said, many people here are in long-term recovery, but we have a few people who are dedicated peer recovery coaches, and they do a lot of our follow-up on the Help for WV program. They're really kind of some of our go-to people, especially if we have a hard case and we really, have somebody that we want to make sure that we get them where they need to go, and we're having trouble finding a place for them. They jump in and really beat the bushes to make sure they get what they need. And we also refer to outside agencies. If our coaches aren't able to help, we have a partnership with Synergy Health here in Kanawha County. So we refer Kanawha County callers to them if they need help. And then we also have, lists of peer coaches all around the state. I think this is just invaluable. I mean, no matter what you refer someone to, inpatient, outpatient, sober home, why not also get them a peer coach, someone who's going to help them through this, somebody who's been there, done that, and is going to be in their corner. So we always try to do that. All right, our tobacco quit line. This is another line that is not 24 hours. It is more business hours, but I will tell you that on the website, you can go and you can sign up with the enrollment form, and they'll call you back. If it were me, I would go to the website and fill out that form first, because I think it will cut down time. This is a line very, very busy. And the reason this line is so busy is that folks will go to the doctor and say, I want to quit smoking. He says, okay, maybe some medication would help. And then how do I get that without paying for it? Well, you got to call us. So we have nicotine replacement therapy, the medication that passes, lozenges, gum, things like that. And also expert quit coaching, people who can help talk you through this, give you some guidance, advice for stopping smoking. Almost everyone is eligible for this line. We have I think Medicaid, Medicare, uninsured can call. Most private insurances, there are a couple insurances have dedicated tobacco lines like PEIA, but most don't. And so we're able to help them. So folks call us, we do the enrollment, and then we can have the medication shipped to them and the coaches call them. It's a great deal. It's free. And so we have, as you may be aware, one of the highest, I think maybe the highest smoking rate in the country. So if you're working with someone who needs to stop smoking, or you yourself want to stop smoking, I highly encourage you to call our quit line. All right, now I'm on to the 211 line. This is a social service line. When I was at the social work conference a couple years ago, I did a little survey and asked how many people know what this was. And it was a relatively small amount. I was pretty surprised because this is like the one line like every social worker should know about. This is a line where we partner with the United Way. They usually, this is kind of their baby and we help them with it. We take it over nights and weekends and our call agents help, but they are the ones who guide the resources. If you go to 211.org, West Virginia 211, you're going to see they have a great resource. Yeah, I mentioned we have 1,000 resources for addiction and mental health on our database. They have way more than 1,000. So all of those are available. But again, if you need to talk to a human, you can also call us and we can help you with that. This is a line really that is almost anything under the sun. You'll hear the governor mention 211 a lot. Anytime there's something going on, like if there's a natural disaster, like a flood, something like that during COVID, this I think calls tripled during COVID. This is a line that people often call for real concrete social service needs, things like food, shelter, clothing. The other thing people call for sometimes are questions, like they might say, well, is there a moratorium on rent now due to COVID? Or, who do I call to get my unemployment? They just have questions. And so that's what we do. We try to answer those questions. And I will tell you, I know it seems like, well, why don't you just Google it? But I will say during a great example was early weeks of COVID. So many things were changing so fast. So many feeding centers, food pantries were shutting down and so many were popping up. And if you looked on Google, it was wrong. And I know there were a lot of groups trying to keep up with this and doing a good job, but the United Way did a fantastic job of keeping those resources up to date. So we have them. Right now, I know they're working with the West Virginia Housing Development Fund for a new grant that is helping people who are behind in their rent. So when people call us, we're able to guide them through that application. So anything under the sun, I think 211 that you can call, you can chat, you can also text your zip code to 898-211, any of those things. So this is great for your clients, but if you need, as a social worker, if you need a resource, then you should call us as well and we can help you. The Jobs and Hope Helpline. This is a line we're really proud to be a part of. There was just a great article I read on this yesterday and posted on our First Choice Facebook page about how this is helping people. It dovetails really nicely with our Help for WV program. It initially was started as a way for people in recovery to find employment, but anybody in the state can call this. And this is not like Monster or Indeed. It's more than just a search engine for jobs. These folks, we refer to employment transition specialists all around the state, and they kind of take these folks on like almost case management and figure out what are your barriers to employment. And they help make sure they have education, employment training, whatever they need. A lot of people have barriers with transportation, childcare, maybe a DUI fine, can't pay, so you can't get your license, or something that needs to be expunged from your license so that you can get employment. So I know that they are able to help with a lot of those things. In fact, I'll say I did a training for some new staff here recently, and several of them said that they personally used the program and how helpful it was to them. So we're real proud to be a part of that. Okay, I'm getting to my very last program and then I'll take questions. So this is our 877 Help 304 emotional strength line. The little bear's name is Bernice. Our clever graphic designer came up with that. So it is an emotional support line, which is probably the term that people are more familiar with. But it's we call it a strength line. We wanted to, we took the bear and we thought, okay, we want people to associate that with West Virginia, which, we have the 304 down there. So I know there's another zip code now, but most people, you still see shirts with 304. And the bear is a symbol of strength. And you always think about, hashtag West Virginia strong. So that's how we came up with this. That's why we have Bernice here. It's our only program with an animal mascot. And I will tell you, I love it. I wish we had animals for all of our other programs. So this is a FEMA supported program, which is different than our other programs. So this was specifically began a little bit after the COVID emergency. And it was initially just, for people, reacting to issues with COVID, but certainly it is a lot more than that. I love this program because I think it is the most straightforward resource that breaks down barriers to mental health issues, treatment. And this is 24/7 free access to a crisis counselor. They're not going to ask about insurance or payment. They're not going to schedule you. You can talk to them right then. Now, important, these are not master's level mental health clinicians. So you're not getting 12 weeks of cognitive behavioral therapy or Freudian analysis. This is not that. I certainly will say we have, because it's a lot of the same people, sometimes we have access to all those resources. So we definitely refer people to those if that's what they need. But you know what most people want? Most people just want to talk to someone right then. It's sort of like, I'll give you the example. If you have a toothache because you have a cavity and you call the dentist and they say, oh, it's going to be a week. Well, so in a week, if the tooth doesn't hurt anymore, even if the cavity is still there, a lot of people are going to skip the dentist, right? That happens a lot. Because they needed help right then in the immediate. And so that's how we try to think of it. We try to provide immediate help for someone. A lot of people call us and they say, I'm having a panic attack or I'm having, relationship issues. It's the middle of the night and there's no one around. I just need to talk. I will say a pretty significant portion of people who call us already have a therapist, and maybe it's just 2 a.m. and their therapist isn't available right then. I think this is a great resource. If I were still in practice, I would give this to every client and say, when I'm not available, this is who you call. Even, the suicide line, those are two different lines. The suicide line, obviously for people who are considering suicide. This is for someone, who may just be anxious or depressed and just need to talk to someone, and they can call this line. And why do we have this line? And again, these are statistics that I usually go through all this, but you all are social workers. I'm guessing you know all this stuff. We have a lot of mental health issues in this country and in this state in particular. And they've really been exacerbated by the pandemic. Study after study has shown that people are much more stressed out now with the pandemic. And you might think, well, it's coming to an end. Isn't it all better? I will tell you that in March, we had our busiest month ever. I think we had about 200 calls on that line in March. Now, that's not as many as we have on the other lines, but this is a new line and not as many people knew about it. In the first year of Help for WV, we didn't get that many calls at all compared to what we get now. So people have asked, why is it higher now? Well, I think we finally, broken through and done a little bit more outreach and more people know about it. That's one thing. But I think, even though the pandemic, the end of the pandemic may be in sight, there are people who are still anxious, nervous. I use the analogy, if your house burns down, you're not okay as soon as the flames go out. There are still issues. And there are a lot of people who have lost people during this pandemic. That's a big issue, I think isn't talked about that much. There are people who've been sick. There have been many studies showing that people who, even after they're better from COVID, months later, are still having some issues. So people are still suffering. People are still dealing with almost, let's say, a post-traumatic kind of issue, because you think about it, a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people, for the first time ever, dealt with not knowing how to feed their families. So this has been very traumatic for people. Samim, I talked about this already in West Virginia. Again, we have all of these barriers, sometimes to mental health treatment, transportation, lack of access. We solve a lot of that with this line. That is why I think this line is so important. Here are a few posters we have. We do have a support group for this line. We have a couple of them. One of them, that one with the 3 bears, that is every week, and that's for anyone in the state, and that is a Zoom meeting. These are both Zoom meetings. And then the other one with the little yoga bear, that is specifically for college students, because we have heard from college counselors. We've worked carefully, closely with them during this, and we have heard that they are seeing more people than ever. And you've probably seen some headlines lately about stress on college campuses and college kids having problems. So we want to be there for them. So this is just for them. In order to get to these meetings, all you have to do is call us. We don't publish the Zoom meeting login. We don't want any foolishness, but when someone calls them, we will make sure they're appropriate and we give them the information. Here's a few other posters. When this, when we've expanded our scope, but one of the, when we got this grant, a couple of the key areas that we were looking at were people who were people of color. We knew that they had faced some extra stress during this time, and that they were getting COVID at higher rates and maybe had extra barriers. So that was one of our mandates. The other mandate was first responders. So you see the picture of the nurse, but also we reached out to, firemen, ambulance, police, other first responders. And then along the way, we added some older folks. We started getting calls early on from people who were older, and I hadn't even anticipated that. And then I realized, well, sure, here are people who are locked in their home. Maybe church was their main social outlet, and now they're not going because they've been told that they shouldn't go. They're worried about going. Maybe their family now isn't visiting them because they're worried about COVID. So early on, I know we were getting a lot of calls from that population. And other things. Think about if they have a loved one in a nursing home, their spouse, they can't visit. We actually sent these posters to every nursing home in the state. And teachers, I know they were super stressed out during the pandemic. They were being pulled by everyone in every direction on what they should do and trying to deal with homeschooling and in-person schooling. So very stressful for them as well. Okay, that is the end of me talking about every one of the programs in detail. I'll just give you a little bit more information on if you would like to be an outreach partner. We need outreach partners. I'll tell you, we have a whole storeroom full of posters just gathering dust. So if you want a poster or you want a brochure, or we have nifty little wallet cards, I would be happy to mail those to you. If Daniel, if you'll put my email again in the Moran at firstchoiceservices.org. If you'll put that in there, I would, and I have it up here too as well, but she'll put that in the chat. Any of you, please email me if you would like me to mail you some materials. I will tell you that on firstchoiceservices.org, there is a tab where it has media, so you can print those yourself. Each of our all of our websites for each of our programs are accessible via firstchoiceservices.org, and they all have their own individual posters that you can print, but I am really happy to send you some shiny new ones. We are also happy to do presentations. If you have a workplace or a Rotary Club or whatever you have and you want us to come speak, we will do it via Zoom. We will do it in person. I am vaccinated and will travel, so I'm happy to get back out there to people again. And we can provide CEUs if you have a larger workplace and you want us to do something for them. We can do that. We can do presentations just like what you've just experienced on all of our programs, or we can do really detailed presentations on problem gambling, detailed presentations on youth and video gaming and gambling, and many other topics. So please let me know. Just email me if you're interested in having us do any of that. I think what else I haven't told you all. Follow us on social media. We have Facebook and Twitter for most of our programs, and Instagram for 1-800-GAMBLER. So please follow us if you would. I think that is all. So what I will do now is see if there are any questions. Stop sharing my screen.
Yes, Sheila, there are some questions.
Great.
The first questioner is Kennedy Woodall. Kennedy, would you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, I asked if the Children's Crisis Line, if that provides children with the opportunity for group home placement or facility placement, or if it's just for extra supports in the home.
I would say they have that information, but really that is not the line that is for. It is pretty specifically to help families who are trying to keep their kids in the home, to do the de-escalation and the mobile crisis response team. So that's heavily their focus. Thank you for that, Kennedy.
Okay, and thank you. And the next questioner is Susan Hammond. Susan, would you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Okay. Hello. Yes, I was just wondering, with all the helplines available now and things, if we ourselves as clinicians have clients that maybe, client we're working with needs a higher level of care, would it be more expedient now to go directly with the helpline to get them in somewhere, or our traditional sources where we would fill out a referral and contact agencies? Would it be quicker to access the helpline?
Thank you, Susan. And I believe I know who you are. Are you Ann's aunt?
I am.
Ann Hammond was one of our peer coaches, and now she is I'll mess up her title, but she is, I think, our grant coordinator. She is wonderful. One of the best things we've done here at First Choice too. She's really made things better already. But
yes,
to answer,
we are very proud of her.
To answer your question, if it were me, I would definitely use the helpline. I would not spend my time filling out all of the different applications myself. I would go through them, because one of the things is, especially if it's like a inpatient type placement, they have a board where they keep a note of who has beds and when, and they can also help with transportation. I should have said that, and that's a big deal. So I would go through them.
Great. Yeah, and I have some in the past, but I thought put it out there, because how much folks have available and know can vary agency to agency and state to state. And I tell you, when Jobs and Hope came out, because I work with a lot of folks on medicated assisted treatment, and when Jobs and Hope came out, it was a godsend, because I had several of my clients that were able to get help with being able to get hooked up with resources to go to school, that got jobs that, beforehand, they were putting in applications and trying, and nothing was working. And they got with the Jobs and Hope, and the workers really linked them up with services. I had a gentleman that was able to go to school because they hooked him up with Catholic Charities that got him a computer so he could do online classes.
I had not heard that. Wow.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing but good things about that program. So
yeah,
that's
it's excellent.
Thank you for the testimonial, Susan.
You're welcome.
And I hear more testimony, right? Yeah, like this. No bad comments, please.
Absolutely. Thank you.
A lot of people are asking Sheila about a poster or someplace where all the numbers and services are listed. Is there something like that rather than one for each type of service?
There is. We have an all programs poster. Let me see if I can. Yeah, go to firstchoiceservices.org. I can type that in here.
It's already there.
Oh, it is. Look how good you are. And it's the tab, I think, says, I believe it says media on it. I can check and make sure, but we have all of our different posters on there. And we have one poster in particular that it has all of our different helplines listed on it. Let me make sure I give you the right tab. Yes, it's under training. It actually says training. And so there's one called West Virginia FCS programs, and it has every helpline on it. So you can download that, or if you want shiny new posters, again, just shoot me an email and I will mail you some.
And she's really fast with sending it too.
You've used that. So another testimonial. We love this. And right now we have 10 minutes left, and Sheila is an amazing resource. So other questions that are not typed into the chat, unmute yourself and ask what you would like from Sheila.
Well, I did see one I think we may have overlooked. So I think this was from Sabrina. So she puts, I had a consumer who had a Tennessee number and said that they sent her to the Tennessee quit line, even though she lives in West Virginia. So any advice on what she could do to get some help? Her doctor was able to give her some samples. So
Yes. Yes. You know what? A lot of our helplines are set up like that so that they come based on the cell phone. So she probably was routed nationally. So hold on, because we have a different local phone number that she can actually call. Yeah, let me tell you this number. I think this is text or call. It is, it's on our website, which is West Virginia Tobacco Quitline.com. And the number is 583-4010. That's a local 304 number, 583-4010. And you can text that or you can call that. You can also, there's other resources there. There's a place where you can email. And online chat is available for that program as well. So yeah, that does happen sometimes with folks who are out of state. They tend to get rerouted so they can call us locally that way.
Thank you, Danny. Anything else that you saw? Any other questions?
Yes. Whoops, let me get back to that tab. Another person put, would you recommend counselors/social workers utilize the helpline when a client has needs such as a higher level of care versus contacting agencies themselves with the helpline? So do you feel like that would be more efficient?
Yeah, they can contact them. The social worker can contact us directly or the client can contact us. It's usually best when the social worker, when the client contacts us themselves because it's easier to process the application.
And there's another question about, is there one number that could access all the programs?
There is not, but I will tell you that most of the programs, many of them share staff. So honestly, if you call one of the lines like 211 and you're like, but I need help with addiction, but I need help with smoking, it's like the person next to them is on that line. So, our protocol when we train people is, deal with the one issue they have and then help them, with the specialist who can do it in-house. So really, any of the numbers that they call with any issue, we'll make sure that they get help for all of that. One other thing, and I should have said this, by the way, we often have vacancies here on various lines. So if any of you are interested, I'm giving my little pitch for a first choice. It is a wonderful place to work, competitive pay, vacation, insurance, all sorts of great things, a wonderful, supportive, very diverse workplace. Please consider applying if you're looking to expand and you want to work someplace fantastic. You can go to our website, firstchoiceservices.org, and you'll see information on that. Our HR director will be proud of me for doing that.
Thank you. Are there other questions?
Don't be shy.
Bunch of you, 150 some on this. Thank you all so much. I'm very excited that I got to again speak to so many people. Not that I want to keep it virtual. I can't wait to be back in person.
We're with you. We're very much looking forward to being back in person in this conference. Hopefully we'll be back in person next year. So unless there are other questions, we'll wrap up. And but if you have something and you didn't want to ask it with everyone here, stay on the line and stay in the Zoom meeting, and Sheila will stay in the Zoom meetings.
I sure will. And don't hesitate to email me.
Or email her. So the next session starts in an hour at 5:30. So thank you all for your attention and participation, and see you tonight or tomorrow.
Sheila, I was looking at all the some of the staff there, and I was like, I recognize so many people because I've worked with Lotta, worked with Megan.
Have you? Where did you work with them at home base?
I did, yeah.
Do you know Stephen Perry?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I was under him for a little bit as an intern slash coordinator for outreach coordinator.
Okay.
Then
Yeah.
I know Kinsey as well. Kinsey.
Oh, She's on our 304 line. She's really good.
She is. She's such a sweetheart. So it's been kind of fun to see how everybody just seems to be going to first choice. So, it
Well,
probably is pretty good to go to.
I've been here for 20 years. I mean, I'm old, so I've given that away now. But yeah, it is a great place to work. We're in sort of close to downtown Charleston, and it's a very, very nice place to work.
Good. Yeah. We always need more folks, especially with this program. Because we've even gotten more little posters, and I've got some on my door at work. So I'm like, yay.
Oh, wonderful. Danielle, where do you work now?
Charleston Treatment Center.
Oh, do you? Okay. We refer a lot of people to you then.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, we do intakes every day. Every day, which is a good thing. That means people are getting help. So yeah, keep sending them to us. We'll try to get them in.
Very good. Very good.
So a question I do have too is any idea of how to help people get IDs?
Gosh, I'll tell you what. That is such an issue. I think there should be, I don't know, a soapbox. Because I had this funny time where I let my driver's license expire for like a day. And so they said, you have to have your social security card. I went to the Social Security Administration and they said they wouldn't give me a card because my driver's license was expired. And so it was this circle. And I thought, and I'm lucky. I have time to take off from work and write letters and protest this.
Exactly.
I wonder if the Jobs and Hope people are good with that. That seems like something they would specialize in, because I know that's an issue for many people.
Danielle, are you in Kanawha County?
I am.
Covenant House will help with IDs.
What was it?
Covenant House.
Covenant House. Okay, awesome.
Yes, they will help with IDs. They'll help people get their IDs and social security cards and everything like that.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's really good to know. Thank you for that. I'll pass that on as well here, because I know that's a need that a lot of people can't get services because of that.
Yeah, because that's one of the barriers sometimes for our facility, because if they've been there before and they're coming back, it can make it a little bit easier. But if they've never been there, for safety reasons, we have to have some form of ID. But we'll even accept passports. What else? Military IDs. If they've just been released from correction facility, we'll accept those too. And lately we've been accepting expired IDs because, with COVID, you haven't been able to go, or if someone doesn't have the means to have a brand new shiny ID, that's hard.
Yeah, that is. I think that's a bigger issue than people realize. Well, I'm glad to know Covenant House can help with it. I don't know what is available in other counties. I'll ask about that, because I would assume that Jobs and Hope has to deal with that a lot. Surely their implement specialists do that. All right. Well, I guess it's the end of me. I guess I'm leaving, right?
Okay.
I did have one question. I was just, you mentioned an email. It's not letting me check it on the website. Are you able to let me know?
You can. It is, I'll type it in here too. It's S1 at First Choice Services. See, I always misspell that. Services.org. S. Moran at firstchoiceservices.org. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, send me an email.
Thank you.
Hey, Danielle, thank you again for being part of my session. I appreciate it.
Not a problem.
I will tell the gang here, your former gang, that I saw you and how helpful you were. Thank you.
Oh, yes, tell them I said hello.
I will.
You never know, maybe I'll show up in HR and be like, hi.
Well, they'll know you. There you go. Always hiring. We have openings now, I think, for 211 or the Lifeline. There's always openings for something.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've picked up 2 jobs. We'll see what. You never know. Maybe a third.
Third, a fourth. Oh.
Yeah, stay busy. But all right, folks, I will.
Thanks, Danielle. See you guys later.
You. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I am going to close out this group, but we will see everyone later. And I am going to transfer the host over to NASW wv5's. So.